It's really freaking annoying. It's my dryer going off, and I really hate it, and I wish it would stop so that we could start the show. Oh God, it's still going right now, but will it ever end? Oh God, it seems like it is done now. Start the show. A very special postseason show with Kyra. We have so much to talk about on this show, but let me let you guys know first, in case you missed any of our previous shows, you can check them all out over at irrealityrecaps.com/bbcan, not just for this season, but the past 6 seasons, all of our shows, house guest interviews, recaps, just it's all over there. Now, you might be watching this back live later. You should have fanned us on YouNow, so you could have hung out with the chat room when we were live, get notified every time we go live. We are having a house guest on every single night of the week. I feel like for the next 2 weeks. I will let you know who the next 3 house guests are later in the show, so make sure you become a fan over there. Of course, if you want to help support our shows, consider becoming a patron. irrealityrecaps.com/patron. You get access to the patron-only Facebook group, prize giveaways, weekly shows, and the after shows with the BB Can house guest. If you have any Amazon shopping to do, irrealityrecaps.com/Amazon is super helpful too. Of course, sharing the shows on social media. If you're watching on YouTube, thumbs up and subscribe, hit that bell, iTunes 5-star rating, and a nice review are great free ways to support as well. That being said, let's get to the person you're all dying to hear from. It's Kyra!
Hello!
How are you doing, Kyra?
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing, bud?
I am doing great. It is so nice to see you outside of the house.
It's nice to be outside the house. I'm not gonna lie.
Although now I feel like you're in a closet. Is that a closet behind you?
No, I'm in
no
a kitchen.
Pun.
I'm in a kitchen.
It
has
like,
good lighting. Okay?
It has. Look, I will tell you right now. God knows. There was Anthony drama yesterday, but I love Anthony now. Anthony had horrible lighting, and it didn't even dawn on me to try and fix it until it was too late, Kyra.
I'm thankful that I, had this ready for you.
You did.
I thought ahead.
Well, let me tell you what we have ready for you. Questions from your fans. So here's what you guys all need to know in the chat room. You can start leaving your questions in the chat room. You can tweet me them with hashtag YRRLive. I will start pulling them up. Of course, spread the word and let everybody know that we are live right now. And Kyra has so graciously agreed that the #1 fan on this show, same deal as everybody so far, autograph or Skype call, the choice is yours, #1 fans. Kyra, we have to jump right into it. I just want to get this out of the way. Right? I mean, we like to start with happy, but I want to get this out of the way because I have learned that the chat will just keep asking over and over again if we don't. So I feel like one of the big things from this season that I think a lot of people were very emotional about was we just had Anthony on, was kind of that, let's call it a confrontation that Anthony had, with you in the living room. A lot of people did feel like it was kind of condescending, definitely blew up a lot of your game or exposing a lot of your game. People said it felt personal. How did you feel about that interaction in the moment?
I knew it was coming. That's the thing. As soon as Corey left, Anthony was riled, absolutely riled. The fact that people went after his side one, it was unacceptable, which is kind of hypocritical because he wanted Sam out forever, right? And I knew he had like a lot of rage towards me. And I had already spoken to Adam. Like I knew it was coming. I was trying to make sure that Adam would have my back with that leading into like that conversation. But I knew I had to stand my ground. And I wasn't quite sure leading in what he would confront. So when he sat down and like legit sat like on the ground in front of me and like started whispering so that he didn't like intimidate me, I was just like, wow, the level that he is being condescending is just like, it's ridiculous. But at the same time, like, you guys don't know, maybe we had a big fight like a couple of days before this about how I was fighting too hard for Sam to stay in the house. And he like yelled at me in front of everybody in the kitchen and like asked everyone if they thought that I was like fighting too hard for Sam, if I was too close to Sam. And so already he had like tried to use like his alpha macho-ness to intimidate me. So I was like, I knew it was coming. And as soon as he sat down and was condescending, I was like, Kyra, do not snap because this will hurt your game even more. Because I knew after this fight, no matter how bad it got, he still needed to feel like he had control over me. Because if not, he would have gotten into every single person's head, as he does, to get me out. So I had to swallow my pride and be like, I'm so sorry, I love you, after, even though I was furious. So at the end of the day, everything he was saying, like, it was really hard to, like, hold validity to it when he was saying it, because it was like, I'm actually like one of the people that isn't running to power constantly. Like I was close to 3 people this whole game, and that was like Chelsea, Sam, and Adam. Right. Even though I knew I kind of had to use Adam because of his comp beastness. He was close to the guys, therefore he had to be more disposable to me. Right. So his whole argument for me like didn't hurt me. It didn't hurt me what he was saying, more about the aggression that I felt was super unnecessary. But it kind of gave me an opportunity to call him out on what I saw. Right. And I told him, I was like, you listen, man, you play with the powerful players and you prey on the weak and the vulnerable just so you could build them back up. And this is something that I know all of you viewers saw week to week, but you didn't realize that I or other house guests maybe saw. I was too scared to even talk about it. Right. Because I didn't have people in the house. So who am I going to talk to about it without it getting back to Anthony? So that fight kind of gave me the opportunity to say what I'd been wanting to say for so long.
Right, and you did. So now I'm gonna turn it. Well, actually, wait. Let me ask you this first. How are you and Anthony now? Like everything is good with you and Anthony now?
We haven't talked. Just like he tried to talk to me afterwards, and I told him like I'm not ready. It's like nothing personal. It's just like I want time. Right. He like game aside, Anthony like became my brother in the house, and that wasn't very much shown on the show. I'm watching it now, and I'm like pretty far. Right. But he knows how I am. He knows my strengths and my weaknesses, and he manipulated that. And he knew that I needed intimacy in order to feel good, and I wasn't going to get that from the other guys. And so he gave me that, and he played me hard, and he never got me to make a decision. Right. Other than not putting him up. I know certain things were shown that way, but not so much. But he made me think that we were like family. And for that, like it's definitely a personal betrayal that I need to accept before talking to him.
Okay, so, but you are a huge fan of the show.
Yes.
So, I mean, and I guess you kind of already answered what I was going to say is, can you separate that as game and not real life Anthony? So I guess your answer is not yet. It still is too personal for you at the moment.
Well, like I was able to do that with Dane, right? And like, because it's going to take time for Anthony, I think. It's still a bit fresh.
Right. I think he didn't know the game. Like, I don't think actually, I'll just say you guys can go listen to it. You can go listen to the show with Anthony, because I kind of asked him that. Did you not really realize how forming such emotional connections with people was ultimately going to affect your game in the end? Yeah. If you don't. Okay, so then that being said, let me flip it around for 1 second, because here's where I was yelling at the TV, Kyra. Then why did you work with him after?
So it wasn't as much I was working with him. Okay. So everything got a little bit complicated. So after our fight, he consoled me on like an intimate personal level, right? And then I had to like swallow my pride because I tried to plant seeds with SD. I tried to plant seeds with Dane and Adam that Anthony was like super manipulative and all of this. But the thing was, everything I was noticing that I was saying to these people was getting back to Anthony.
Right.
So it was like, no matter what I said, it just, people would not wake up. Mm-hmm. And that was my problem all season long. And if you don't have numbers and you're the only one fighting and woken up,
right, then
you're going to be the next to go. So I had to swallow my pride and play like the damsel in distress and be like, Anthony, I'm sorry, I love you. And like, just like have him feel like he controlled me. And then when it came to the game, I legitimately saw Anthony that was extremely beatable. He did not know his days. He was hoping that anybody would carry him. Mm-hmm. As a physical competitor, he was not as strong as the rest of the players. So Mark was a beast with mental, like ultimate beast. Dane and Adam were beasts with comps. All that Anthony had was his social game. And coming down when you're such few people, your social game doesn't really matter because now the comps are the most important things. Little did I know, you know, but at the end of the day, I really saw Anthony as beatable. So I knew if I had him more on my side, that it would be an advantage to me, but I wasn't as much playing with him as you might think. It was more so I just saw that I could beat him. And I also needed to make sure he was good with the plans that I wanted to execute because he's so influential that if he wasn't, he could spin it around.
So, so Anthony always would have been the person that you really would have brought. Like, given the choice out of any of, let's just say, Adam, Dane, and Anthony, is Anthony the person you would have brought to Final Two in any scenario?
So things changed for me a little bit. I'm not going to lie to you, even up until like walking into those mirrors, I hadn't fully made a decision because in my mind, I was looking at, okay, these pretty boys dominated, first of all, and they had 3 of their alliance members in the jury. So for me, a big part of how I was looking at it, I felt like whoever I chose to bring to the final 2 was going to win. And essentially I had the sole vote for the winner of Big Brother. And so even I said in the diary room, I was like, I feel like I'd bring Dane because he deserves to win. So part of me was like kept leaning towards Dane. And then Anthony was just like giving up in comps. He wasn't pushing his hardest. And I was like, wow, he's not proving to be very strong when his back is against the wall. And like, this is something that I might be able to fight against in a final 2. And then part of me started to think like, maybe I could beat Anthony. But honestly, in terms of a final decision, I kept bouncing back and forth, even when in the mirror.
Really?
So like, because part of me felt like Dane even deserved to win more than me. And as a fan of the game, like he played a brilliant freaking game. And so like everything aside, like, yes, the prize is really amazing. And obviously I wanted to win. It would have felt so wrong giving that to Anthony over Dane. And like, I guess the self-doubt in me of the fact that all of the pretty boys were in the jury, I just felt like Dane deserved to win more than Anthony.
Right. I mean, I get it. Look, I'm just being gay, but I wanted you and Adam together, and I get it. You could not. I agree. It's very hard for me to admit that it probably would be hard, but I think you could have made a case against that. Go ahead. No, go.
I wanted so badly to be in a final 2 with Adam. I love Adam, and I know that he protected me. You know, when everyone's like, oh, Adam had your back, Adam only had my back for like 2 weeks after Sam left. Before then, I was super disposable. True. So it was like, yes, he started to have my back at one point, but also as soon as, if I didn't win that HOH, Adam would have made sure I went home. And because his baby was the pretty boys. That was his invention. He was so proud of it. And he exposed, when I put Adam on the block, it was purely like a move what Dane did with me and Chelsea. And Adam, before my noms happened, was pushing for me to put up Anthony in case Anthony was off the block and use the veto on Mark. So him kind of pitching that made me realize, oh, that's true. That's why I should put you up beside Dane. And so he kind of solidified it. And it was me proving that I wasn't making game decisions with my emotions. I might be emotional, but I never made game decisions with my emotions. And even though I love Adam, I knew I had to put him up beside Dane. And at the end of the day, after I nominated him, his tantrum proved how much he was loyal to the Pretty Boys. Day one, they were together. It was like a cultish obsession almost. He was so like proud of his creation.
Right.
And it just showed me, holy F, no matter how much I feel protected and loved by Adam, he's going to do whatever it takes to make sure that his boys go to the end. And I knew Dane had a different game mind than that. Loyalty was important, but he saw me as beatable. And Adam was going to take Dane to the final two. I'm sure you heard. And he would have. Because that's just the player he is.
I wish we could like do that split off into realities, because I would really love to know what Adam really would have done. I agree. We were all so like, Adam, Kyra, yeah. And then he didn't kind of seem to have your back when the whole Anthony thing happened. But then you put him on the block and we were like throwing water bottles at the television. And, you know, it was, look, we're not there. But I agree with a lot of things that you said. I want to take this question from Twitter and then I'm going to add to it. It's from Bridget B, who says, I would like to ask Kyra if they regret letting Anthony run their HOH. Now, hold on, because here's why I'm asking it. What I was going to say to you was, I feel like a lot of people think Anthony controlled the decision for you to put Dane and Adam on the block. Now, I know why that's not true, but I'm going to let you answer why that's not true.
So about 3 weeks before, I was the one, I don't know if everybody knows this because it wasn't shown. I was the one that told Corey that Adam and Dane wanted to backdoor her during Sam's HOH because I was trying to set me and Sam up well and crack the foundation of the Pretty Boys.
Right.
So I was trying to turn Corey against them. Little did I know Anthony was closer to the boys than I thought. I thought Anthony would be so furious. His girl was, at risk with the boys that he would turn against them. I was wrong. But I was the one that said that. And Corey and I had a conversation in the backyard and she asked me who I would put up. And I was like, honestly, Corey, I would put up Adam and Dane for the same reason that Dane put up me and Chelsea. To get out a strong player, you need to put the other strong player beside them. If not, they take them down. And the fact that I said that like 3 weeks before and still stuck to it weeks after, even though me and Adam got close, I made a game decision that wasn't influenced by my emotions. I decided to put Adam up beside Dane before I even talked to Anthony. I had even said it to the cameras before I talked to Anthony.
Correct. We heard you practicing it in the backyard before Wendy's, so I never understood it when a lot of people, people on Twitter would be like, no, Anthony convinced her during Wendy's. It's like she was practicing, they were practicing it in the backyard before the HOH, so I don't know. I'm on your side with this one, Kyra.
I was the first to tell Anthony.
Right.
He didn't even say you should do that. I was like, listen, I want to make sure you're behind me on this because I wanted him to feel like he was like in the loop.
Yeah.
Because I wanted him to vote out the person I wanted to leave inevitably.
Right. I want to take a fun question from Twitter, because actually a lot of people have been asking this. Will you ever release a merch because they would love to see that? Now, I mean, I feel like people skip over my intro, which is why I like to stick important things into the middle of the show. But you have to know that you were very inspirational for a lot of people on this season. A lot of people in the queer community, of course, myself. I mean, you being the first non-binary player, even if it might have made it hard to update.
Yeah.
Even if it might have made it a little hard to update, Kyra. So people are like, they who? Who is the they that was having the conversation? I'm like, no. Kyra is they. But you said they and them. I know. Kyra. Do I have to explain? You don't understand that I had to do charts at one point.
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
So I'm blaming you for your life choices right now.
You should.
No,
Everybody should blame me.
You were very inspirational. I love that you brought that message to a platform that I am glad to see how it embraced it. I really do think, I don't want to stereotype them, but like the Danes and the Adams and the Marks of the world, they really embraced it in an amazing way. So what do you want to say about it?
Honestly, coming onto the show, like I was definitely a little bit like scared of what it would do, just because like when you make history, you're going to have to take some hits.
Right.
And I knew exposing myself like this would come with some backlash. And I was a bit scared, like on the show even, of like the alpha dudes not getting it. And I'm just like beyond grateful of the accepting kind of people that we had in the house. And they wanted to know things. They wanted to understand. They were so good with the pronouns. Like Dane was the first one to get it, actually. I don't know if you guys know this. He got it like so fast. And these guys are just amazing. And just to be able to come on the show, I said coming into the house that I wanted to bring the human to the human experiment.
Right.
And, throughout my journey, I was only human.
Right.
And I stayed true to who I was always. I, played to my weaknesses a little bit, of course, but like I was authentically myself, even when I didn't look very good being that.
Right.
And I think the more that you fight who you are, the harder it is to be okay. So you just might as well embrace it and feel it out. But for the merch, like who knows? What do you guys want me to do? Maybe. I am getting I am getting all of the love, and like so many people are telling me they came out to their families because of me. People are telling me that like I changed their life and this, that, and that. And I'm just beyond shocked.
Right.
That just me going on the show and being myself would affect so many people in this way. And I am humbled and grateful because it's all I've ever wanted to do.
I mean, I think that, don't get me wrong, $100,000 is amazing, but it's not 5 or 1 million. And I think that I think what you have done with the platform of Big Brother, just by being on it, is probably worth more than winning. I mean, look, also not really, because we all need money, but you know what I'm saying. Well, it was a great, place for you to share your voice.
100%. Growing up, there was no representation.
Right.
So it took me so long to figure out who or what I was, and that was okay. So to be able to be that representation for people, like even if I can help just a couple dozen, like in figuring out who they are, then that makes a difference, because I did not have an easy time. And, for me, Ellen was the closest thing. I looked at her and was like, oh my God, I could wear button downs and have short hair and be funny? What? I thought I could just pick one. So it's been honestly an honor, and I'm going to keep doing advocacy work for as long as I can. And yes.
I like how you're like, I had no one. I had Ellen. No, I had no one growing up. You all had a lot of people. We had no one, but we also didn't have
How old do you think I am?
How old do you think I am?
You're 30.
Thank you. Let's go with 30 and then go 10. We know how old you are here because we read your bio.
That's true.
Okay, let me, and I'm sorry, I have been, my questions, you're getting so many of kind of the same question. I'm trying to condense them, but let me take a specific one, from, chat. It's from It's Carly Wade wants to know, were you offended or upset if anyone in the house ever messed up in using the, correct pronoun, or did you see it as a teaching moment?
It's Carly Wade. I know Carly Wade, so that's kind of crazy. Honestly, I never got offended. I think, for someone to readapt their whole vocabulary, it takes time. There's going to be growing pains. So I definitely saw it as a teaching moment. And I think if you react offendedly or you react with aggression, people are going to be less likely to want to change their habits and less likely to want to learn. So I definitely was always patient, and it never, ever hurt my feelings. And as I said, I think to Chelsea in front of the fish tank, it's less about what I'm called and what I'm referred to as, and more about how I'm seen.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And it's not like when they mess up, it's not with ill intent. If they're doing it on purpose to be like rude, then that's different. But it's an accident. It's not a big deal.
Right. I cannot tell you how many times I have messed it up as well. Still, I think I've already messed it up once in the show. It is, when you're like blah and your brain's going. But I just wanted you to have the opportunity to explain that. Kyra is asking, will we get a Sam show at some point? Will we get a Sam show at some point? Like, or will you and Sam do like a video together?
Yeah, I joined a live feed with her and Adam a couple of nights ago, and I have been talking to her. I'll see if we can do a live feed together, but I am probably going to Newfoundland this summer at some point, and so we'll definitely team up and do something there. Sam is my little bestie squirrel, so definitely at some point we will be teaming up to do something.
Okay, Christine B wants to know, did you know that Anthony came into your HOH room to get you to keep Dane, but make you think it was your idea?
I have heard about that. The funny thing is,
I don't remember that.
The night before, well, I have heard that that's what it looks like.
Okay.
The night before I couldn't sleep and I was walking around, but live feeds turn off in the middle of the night. I was up all night and I was like, looking in the mirror and I was like, how are Mark, Anthony, and I going to beat Adam in 2 competitions?
Right.
Not 1, but 2. And I was like, nobody is going to beat Adam in 2 competitions except Dane. And I was like, what are we thinking? Getting out the only person that can take out Adam.
Right.
And now that we know Adam is going to just keep the pretty boys, I was like, what am I supposed to do? And so when Anthony and I had the conversation, sure, he thought it was him making it feel like it was my idea. And like, yeah, it sure as hell looked like that, I guess. But I had already been thinking that all night. I slept like 30 minutes because I was obsessing over it.
Right. Nat wants to know. Oh, a lot of people want to know this. I'm going to let you speak on why you did or didn't, but I'm going to take it from Nat. Why didn't you use the blood veto on Kiki when she was injured and target Dane?
So, huge reason. Throughout that week, Kiki proved to be a huge liar. And that is a huge liability. Everything that I told her, because I was trying to plant seeds like, oh, Chelsea said this thing about the Boys Alliance. It seems crazy, but I feel like I've been seeing them in the morning. What do you think? Blah, blah. Every time I talked to her about it, it went straight back to Dane. So I was like, this is like so risky. This girl is going to tell everything to Dane. She thinks Dane's her number 1 or number 2 because SC. But I saw Mark as the type of guy that would run to power. And yes, he was working with the Pretty Boys, but guess what? The Pretty Boys had power the whole time. So I knew Mark would be so willing to turn on the Pretty Boys in a second, while Kiki, honestly, I knew was going to go after Sam and Adam and likely myself. So it wasn't advantageous to keep Kiki. And I did say at one point in the diary room, I was like, honestly, I wish the house was voting out Mark because then I'd have the chance to use the blood veto. But unfortunately, they were going my way and I couldn't have Kiki in the house. It was very clear that she was gunning for Sam, who was my number 1.
And I will say now, I will release one name. I will say Kiki will be on tomorrow night. Kyra will be on tomorrow night at 6 p.m., an hour earlier. Kiki will be on here tomorrow night to answer all of your guys' questions so we can get more into this then. I feel like people were very upset about you not using the blood veto, but I remember being like, what did they want you to do? It wasn't a secret power. They would have known that you used it. And then it's just putting a giant target on your back when you really have no one to kind of go to after you do it. Yeah,
100%. I would have loved to use it as well. And if it was to get out a huge target like Dane, I would have used it, even with the consequences. I didn't feel like Mark was a huge target because I really did feel like he ran to power and would be more easily swayed. So I know people are upset. I was upset I couldn't use it too. I wanted to. Unfortunately, it just wasn't beneficial for me.
Melanie wants to know, are you still kicking yourself for Sam not getting to backdoor Corey? You're still kicking yourself for Sam not getting... Oh, to not... Right, got it.
Yeah, because I convinced Sam to not backdoor Corey.
Right.
The whole reason... Honestly, I can't... Like, part of me, maybe a little bit, but at the same time, like, had she backdoored Corey, like, I don't really know... Mm-hmm. Like, Dane could have won the pipe dream, and then I would have gone home. Do you know what I mean? So I think everything happened, like, how it had to. I just wish that Sam and I worked together better when cracking that foundation with Corey and the boys. But she would not. She loves Adam. She would not go against Adam and admit that he was the one. Unfortunately, you know, I had to tell Corey because I knew Corey is a strong female player that wasn't part of that strong males alliance. And if we could plant seeds of doubt on her and she would help us gun for Dane. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it worked to an extent. Unfortunately, Dane and Anthony got in her head so much and Sam and I weren't working together well enough because she was trying to protect Adam. But I don't regret it.
Oh my God, just so many questions. Why, all right, let me ask this, because this was kind of the follow-up from Melanie. It said, since you say that you now have learned that Anthony and Mark were lying and that they did tell Adam to put you up in that fight, have you now learned that Adam had your back after?
Well, yeah, he had my back that week, but we all know he wasn't going to have my back the next week if I didn't win HOH. He would have gotten rid of me. Right. So, like, you know, like, he had my back to an extent, but, like, I've talked to him even after the show, and he's like, yeah, you're right, I would have gotten rid of you. I wanted the pretty boys. So, you know, and at the end of the day, I knew Adam was telling the truth. I didn't doubt Adam. I thought it was more Mark than Anthony, but I believe that Anthony said it too. But for me, people had been saying my name every single week. That wasn't like a new thing for me. It wasn't about who said my name or not. It was about who could I beat moving forward.
They loved putting you on the block.
Yeah, 5 times, baby.
I know. It was
5 times.
Now, that being said, Cammie Forever says, why didn't Kyra try to work with Damian more since they were both on the block all the time?
I did try. It's so hard to get that guy to talk game to you. Especially, the thing is, I knew Damian wanted to work with the boys. I knew since early on that Damian said he wanted a guy to win. And it was like, no matter how hard I tried to point it out, we're always being like the easy pawns, like, you know, like these strong players are like pushing. And like, I tried, and like, they didn't show it. I just watched the episode. But when he was on the block beside Esty during Mark's HOH, I told him what to say to Mark. And I was trying to help him because I was trying to build trust moving forward. I was hoping that he would maybe realize what was really going on. Unfortunately, I couldn't fully expose it because every time I did, it would get back to them. But I did try with Damian. It's just really hard to try and be the only one trying. Nobody wants to build game relationships with the person that's always the easy target.
Let me ask you this. Would you play again? Because I know a lot of people want to know this. So would you play again? Okay, you would. And maybe you don't want to say here, but do you feel like you know what you would have to do differently now to get more people on your side?
So, yeah, like you have to build connections early on and not just stay with the people you feel comfortable with. Unfortunately, like my anxiety got the best of me that first week and I stuck with my comforts and that was Sam and Chelsea. And you really need to build right away because people build connections so fast in that house. Unfortunately, like, there's not a lot that I would say like, oh, this is what I do exactly, because it's so dependent on who you're in the house with. Like it's like, you don't know, like I could from the couch be like, I would have worked with that person, but you don't know how you're going to connect with them at the end of the day. And some people just won't like you because of the sound of your voice. And like, that's not something that I could change. But you know, I would definitely play again. I love the game. It's a blast to play. Unfortunately, you didn't get to see/hear a lot of mine because I was so often playing alone, so I wasn't voicing out what I was thinking or doing. But I played the whole time, I swear.
I think a lot of people here in our show is are aware of things that you've done, because I think a lot of people that are watching specifically these shows now, postseason, are feeders, are diehard fans. So I think a lot of people here are aware of the game that you did play when you were in the house. I want to take this from Sin 198. I can count. Who is someone on your cast that you wished you would have aligned with? So is there anybody that you wish you would have aligned with?
Corey with Sam. I wish that we could have worked that out. Mm-hmm. Corey's brilliant. She's a strong competitor. She just had so much trust in Anthony that was her detriment. Mm-hmm. He played all of us, right? But she is such a strong player. She really is. I admire her a lot as a person, and I would have loved to work with her and Sam together. I think we could have easily taken down the Pretty Boys.
Yeah, you as a fan of the show, you are aware too. It is once you see one side starting to steamroll, it just becomes like, what is going to break this up? And we don't like watching it.
I know. I didn't like watching it either. I tried so hard to break it up so many times. It's just they did such a good job from the beginning at like kind of having the spider web effect.
Yep.
Where like each of them had people on the outside and like close people.
Yep.
So no matter who you went to, it was getting back to them. Right. And I think I was the only person that wasn't like fully oblivious. Like I knew I told Sam and Chelsea, we have to stop telling Adam we're going for Dane. Like, stop. We need to use Adam as a way to lie to Dane. Because if we lie directly to Dane, he's not going to believe us. And they just wouldn't go against that. And Esty wouldn't go against Dane. And it was just, unfortunately, they did such a brilliant job at building connections outside of their alliance that it was almost uncrackable. But I won HOH and I split them up.
You did. And I mean, I have to say, and I remember specifically tweeting it, that you... so many times during the course of the season, you were right on the pulse of what was happening in the game. Like, you just actually knew what was going on when nobody else seemed to know. And then I think people got frustrated that we get to see you voicing knowing, but then things aren't happening. But I think that's people not realizing, well, you can't make it happen when you're going up against a block of 4 with other people spidering off, like you said.
It's all about having numbers, right? Yeah. And also about having power. And I had neither. And unfortunately, I was already the easy pawn or the easy person to get out.
Right.
So anything that I did was just, it could put me at more risk. And I could not put the magnifying glass more on myself. Why do you think I cried so much? I felt so damn stuck because I knew what was going on. And I felt helpless because it was like anything I tried to do couldn't change it. They were so strong. And trust me, I was as annoyed as you guys were that I couldn't do anything about it.
Dahlia Shoes says, so since you have watched some of the shows back, so actually let me ask you, how far along into the season are you?
So I'm at the episode where Mark is HOH and Adam just put up Corey with the secret assassin. And I'm like, oh.
Okay, perfect. So, Dolly Shoe's question is, did your perspective change on anything, or did anything that you've learned watching back what you've watched so far surprise you?
I had, like, not to sound cocky, I had such, like, a good pulse on the game that, like, there was a lot that I already knew. It was Anthony and Dane pushing to backdoor Sam. It was so clear, especially how defensive Anthony would get anytime I tried to defend Sam that week that she was up. So it was like a lot of it was clear to me. I don't think I realized like how much more it was Anthony than Dane. I thought it was more Dane than Anthony. I think that was the only thing that really surprised me. Other than that, I'm like not super surprised at a lot. Yeah, I think that was like, yeah.
Okay, well, here's a part that you haven't seen yet, but you lived. Becca wants to know, I mean, a lot of people ask different versions of this question, but Becca says, what did you think of Corey's jury question to Anthony? Hashtag finesse me. Like, what were you thinking in that moment?
Oh, I was like, yes, girl. That was like, It showed that like she was a bit bitter, and I loved it. I was like, yes, make good TV. No, I think and he didn't even really finesse her that well. But I loved it. It was sassy, and I love Corey. I respect her a lot. She's a very strong woman, and it was like such a great line. Such a great line.
Okay, I'm gonna take this question from Debbie Dawn, because speaking of strong women, I'm just gonna ask it the way she said it. She's, Kyra, why do you think women cannot form an alliance like the Pretty Boys and stick with it? So did you say you felt like women could not form an alliance and stick with it?
Did I say that?
I don't know. That's their question.
Oh, okay.
So maybe... Do you feel that way?
In our season,
right?
The women didn't. I think like I don't want to generalize because like I don't know if all. I'm sure women could. I think at the end of the day, not always, but in our season, the men tended to be the more physical competitors and were winning, and so the women were kind of hoping to stick and have a guy with them, right? Like Sam had Adam. Chelsea also felt like it was beneficial to have Adam, and Esty and Kiki had Dane, right? So it was just like. For them, I feel like because like the proof is in the pudding kind of thing, like am I 90 with that saying, but like still, it was just in our case, at least they wanted to stick with strong competitors. And that was what we were seeing was happening. Right. But I don't think women can't stick to a strong alliance like this at all. I think it could happen. It's just about finding the right women. It's about finding the right people that you connect with, and it's all about communication. It's like marriage. Like you have to always be on the same page. And it's so hard to be on the same page in this game sometimes.
Yeah. Kayla G says, I want to know what they were thinking, what Kyra was thinking when the kitchen argument went down with Anthony. A lot of us feeders were really concerned and hurt. Wasn't that the same argument as the living room one?
Yeah, well, I'm assuming she's talking because then we went back to the kitchen. There was another argument in the kitchen, but that was a mild one. I'm assuming she's talking about the one where he's like the balance beam thing. Honestly, I thought it was almost comedic because I felt like everything he was calling me out on was like so inaccurate and was more kind of depicting Esty's game. For me, I was more hurt that other people weren't standing up for me, to be honest. And I was also really frustrated with his tone and the fact that he thought that it was okay to speak to somebody like that. And for me, it was really clear that he was trying to tear me down to a point where I felt small and weak just so he could have the chance to build me back up again, as he always did. And I saw right through it, and I was kind of disgusted. But, it's a game and people do crazy things in that game. So
you're going to see as you keep watching, it's almost shocking that Adam knew that as well. I feel a lot about Anthony's game. And it surprised me how loyal. I'm going to ask that to Adam on Tuesday when he's here. But it surprised me that Adam was also aware that that was the way that Anthony played this game, and yet still was willing to be loyal to him. It is shocking. Wait until you watch the fight outside your HOH room where they all just start hugging.
I've heard. I think for Adam, I don't want to speak for him, but, first of all, I love the guy to death, and like game is game, but I love him very much, and he's a great guy. I think for him, as a fan of the show, because he is a die-hard fan.
Right.
He wanted so badly, and he said it in his entry video, he wanted so badly to create this alliance and to have it go to the end. So for him, it was more about his dream than loyalty to Anthony. It was loyalty to his dream. Right. And at least, like, he'll correct me if I'm wrong, but that's how I see it, because it was his baby. It was his dream, and it was what he fought so hard for. So I really think it was more loyalty to that than loyalty to Anthony.
I'm going to yell at him. It's the real world, Adam. Dreams die.
We've seen that.
New dreams, Adam.
New dreams.
Don't think I'm not yelling at him just because I'm mesmerized. Melanie is asking, so are you saying that you saw the house split as an Adam side versus a Dane side, or not really?
At what point in the game?
Well, let's go with at any point. Did you see?
So yeah, very much so. Like, well, for me, it felt like a strong shift. Like after week 2 with the split vote, that kind of made it really clear what was going on. And like, we heard about the Pretty Boys like week 3, and so like it looked like Adam had it was Adam's side versus Dane's side, and they were just picking off numbers from each side. And I think I even said that in front of a camera at one point. But yeah, very much so it felt like that. But at the same time, it was funny because they would pick off numbers from each other's sides, but at the end of the day, they were most loyal to each other. So like to them, it wasn't about having sides. I just thought someone else would take them out sooner. I was not expecting
We all did.
We all did.
I didn't even understand. I don't even know how we only have 12 minutes left. Of course, we can go over a little bit. Time flew. We're almost at an hour.
I talk too much.
It is fine. People love hearing, your in-depth, thoughts on the game. And of course, we're going to go over to the Patreon group after this as well. But I'm going to try and squeeze some more of these in here for you. Let me go with ones that are kind of easier or quicker to answer. Were you surprised to find out that the vote was unanimous for Dean?
Yeah, I expected Corey to vote for Anthony.
Yeah.
Look, I'm learning. I'm going faster.
No, keep talking. Look, I can stay longer if you can.
Okay. Yeah.
SoCal Mari says, you said earlier you felt like you couldn't talk about Anthony in the game. Did you feel like you couldn't even talk about him in the DR? So did you feel like you couldn't even do one-on-ones about him?
You want to hear something crazy?
What?
So
is Anthony there right now?
It was the season of Breach, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we secret agents and everything. And I don't think it was filmed because it was week 1, so it was no live feeds up. Chelsea and I were super paranoid that somebody had access to Diary Room or to live feeds. And when the Leon's room was exposed, I was like, for sure they've been watching. I thought somebody was watching Diary Room and live feeds. And for me, I was paying attention to who knew what, and it seemed like Anthony knew everything.
Right.
Like, how did he know everything? So I was just convinced, and I asked him on the last week. I think live feeds were down the last week, right?
The last 3 days or so.
So
sure, technically the last week.
He'll tell you I asked him, but you already talked to him. I asked him, I said, Anthony, have you had access this whole time to Diary Room? And he's like, what? And I was like, have you? Tell me the truth. And he's like, no, I haven't. Oh. But I actually thought that he did. Because he knew things that I had only said in the Diary Room. And I found that out the week that Chelsea and I were up. So I started to stop talking about him in the Diary Room.
Now that is very smart.
Did he have access?
He did not have access. Of course not. That would be such a breach of everything. But
the season was breach.
No, I agree with you. But here's why I love you in this game. Because this is what I always say. If you want to win Big Brother, you have to play the house. You have to play your country. So for me, I would be like, we have to play America. But I also say you have to play production as well. So it is very smart that you thought that could be happening and then not to give them. Now, our Big Brother would not let you get away with that shit. They'd be like, oh, really? Here's a new twist called if your name starts with the letter K, you're on the block.
Oh, that already happened with me anyways. 5 times.
Oh, boy. Okay, well, patron chat. Sparkly Eye wants to know, have you spoken to Adam since the season has ended? A lot of people have asked about that.
Yeah, we spoke. We went to the little retreat weekend, right? And him and Sam were there. And it was cute. We all snuggled and watched an episode. And on Sam's phone. And no, him and I talked. We also at the wrap party. There's no hard, and I FaceTimed them the other day. There's no hard feelings at all. He was like, it was a good move. It made sense. And he admitted he would have taken me out the next week. So he was like, you were right. He just didn't realize I knew him that well. But, nobody did because I wanted to make sure everybody underestimated me. That was the point. I needed to get strong to the powerful compies and the influential player and make sure they saw me as weak. I just forgot how much other people's opinions of you impact your opinion of yourself. Right. But that's what I wanted. But yeah.
It is crazy if you go and watch all of the preseason stuff that you all did. Literally, it was Adam's word for word, like, I want to go in, I want to form a 4-person alliance. Day one, I want it to be all guys. I'm not bringing girls in. We're going to... It was like he literally just made it happen. It was very weird.
Yeah.
Very weird. Daniela D wants to know, what was the hardest part about being in the house, and what was the hardest thing to adjust to after getting out of the house?
I think the hardest part about being in the house for me, it was like survival mode all the time. And I was on the outside of like a lot. So I felt really alone. Mm-hmm. And you can't force things because then you're annoying. So it was like not having my support system and always feeling threatened. It's like, it's exhausting. Right. It's exhausting because you're powerless. And also not being able to go outside whenever I want. That's really hard.
Yeah, I couldn't deal with that.
And alcohol. I missed wine so much. And then coming out of the house, the hardest thing I think is just like I can't even go on public transit yet. I'm like overwhelmed. It's like all the faces. It's just like so many people. And also ordering off a menu is like weirdly difficult.
Really?
I'm not used to making decisions for myself. Big Brother told me what to do all the time.
See, I have... Well, look, I would never play Big Brother also because I say I like my friends and family. But, yeah, I also have horrible social anxiety. So I think it would be very hard to come out of that house after you're in that with it. Becca wants to know, were you upset to find out that the PBs were really called the Pretty Boys, and they weren't, basically she's saying, and they weren't telling you the correct name, and that they had their hand symbol, and...
It was annoying at one point because, like, I knew this was a thing and they were still denying it and, like, everything was out. I didn't really care that they didn't want to tell me the name. Like, I don't really... It was more of, like, you know, at that point, I'm stuck in this house with, like, 4 macho dudes. I don't have much in common with them. It was more of a thing to talk about. And it was just, like... But I just didn't really care that much. I think they all thought I was actually mad. I don't really... It was more, like, annoyance. Like, what's the big deal? But the Pretty Boys is... Like, they're not that pretty. No, I'm kidding.
And
they're gorgeous.
And obviously, you've heard what it means with the hand. Becca's like, make sure she knows. I think everyone knows. I have to feel like that has to be the number one topic after you've all gotten out.
A fan like ran up to me, and was like, "Oh my god, did you know this means lesbian?" I was like, "Of course, the queer person was the one to break them up. Like, thank goodness."
Yes. Lost in Cruise says, the blood veto was kind of a flop twist. Is there any twist that you would have loved to have been a part of from a previous season?
Safe till jury.
Oh, everybody.
That would have been nice.
Everybody would love a safe till jury.
Right? I honestly would have loved the blood veto, just at a different time. What about give it to me the week that Sam was on the block? Would have been nice.
Did you... Oh, Courtney J wants to know, do you think that Dane took Anthony to the final 2 to prove that Adam was wrong, that Dane would take you? Oh, God, I need a chart.
I don't think so. I don't think Dane's brain worked in that much depth. I think it was really, like, about loyalty at the end of the day, and Anthony was really good at convincing him, like, since day two. And Anthony was super smart to convince me that Dane was going to bring me. So I wasn't even fighting that hard because I was like, I felt good with Dane. Anthony was acting scared, like Dane was going to bring me instead of him. So, like, maybe had I fought harder, Dane would have realized. But Anthony was really good at convincing Dane. And, you know, I don't think it had anything to do with proving a point to Adam.
Right. We know that you said that nothing really shocked you that much watching the show, what you've seen on the show so far. Is there anything that has shocked you that you've learned that has happened in the real world while you were locked away in the Big Brother house?
Yeah, I didn't realize that my family was watching live feeds so much. I was like, my mom was like addicted. I'm like, what? But you mean like world news stuff?
Yeah, was there anything?
I haven't really like been like plugged into the world yet, to be honest. I'm still like half here, half not. So if you guys want to tell me something to shock me, you can message me on Instagram and let me know.
Okay.
Something shocking that has happened in the last 3 months.
Well, I'm going to go with final 2 questions, then we're going to get into your social and stuff like that. But I kind of love this question from Melanie, who asked, is there anything that you're confused about, or is there any question that you want to ask live feed watchers? Since Melanie was one of our live feed updaters, was there anything that you had a question about that you wish you knew the answer to?
Was there a moment that Dane was going to actually bring me? Because he convinced me that there was. Was he playing me all week? No, there wasn't a moment at all?
No.
Really?
I
He
mean,
was always going to bring Anthony.
Now, look, I'm not in Dane's brain, but I mean, no. I honestly believe, and maybe this is me being naive, I don't think there was any way that Dane would have taken you. I think maybe in a scenario Anthony might have. I think now, after the fact, Anthony says, of course he's going to stick with the guys.
Yeah.
But part of me thinks Anthony played such a ruthless game in a sense, that if he thought he could have beaten you, which he did, I don't know why he wouldn't have taken you to final 2.
Exactly.
And I think Adam probably would have taken Dane, I'm sure.
Yeah, Adam would have taken Dane, 100%.
And then Mark just kept saying he was going to break up the Pretty Boys all season.
And then never did.
And then never did.
Why didn't he replace Adam with Dane?
I don't know. Mark doesn't want to talk to anybody yet, but I'm trying to win him over.
Okay, try.
I will. I'll get him over here. I'll get him over here. Is there anything that you learned about yourself, like coming out of the experience, that you didn't know about yourself before you started playing this game? We always like to end with that one.
First of all, I learned that I cannot cross a balance beam, no matter what. But I really learned how much of a fighter I am and how resilient I am. And yeah, like I may have cried, whatever. We all cried this season.
Right.
But I wiped my tears and I got back up every single time. And I think there's been moments in my life where I've felt helpless, and as we all have. And I proved to myself in this game that no matter how in danger I am, no matter how threatened I might be, like I can always fight and push forward. And that's something that will help me further in my life. And also I plan to keep being an advocate and hopefully help other people see that as well.
So wait, before we get to wrapping up the show, I'm going to give you full screen. I'm going to let you talk to your fans, and I have one special surprise for you. Let me just first quickly again remind everybody, if you haven't seen any of our shows back, you can check them out at yourrealityrecaps.com/bbcan. If you missed us doing these shows live, make sure you become a fan over at yourrealityrecaps.com/younow. You can chat live. You get alerted every single time we go live. We will have Kiki on tomorrow night. Monday night is our drag race show. Tuesday will be Adam, and Wednesday will be Sam. All of those shows are at 7 p.m. except for tomorrow night, Sunday show with Kiki. That will be at 6. We could not do these shows without all of your guys' support, so consider becoming a patron. If you're not, yourrealityrecaps.com/patron. You get access to the patron-only Facebook group, prize giveaways, weekly shows just for patrons, and of course the after shows like the one we're going to do with Kyra. Well, all the tea will be spilled, or you can always do a one-time donation at yourrealityrecaps.com/PayPal. Without those, we can't keep these shows going, and we really want to be able to cover Big Brother this summer for you, the United States Big Brother, in the same way we always have. So we hope that you guys will support us financially. If not, you could always thumbs up and subscribe on YouTube. Click that bell so you are alerted whenever we have a show come on YouTube. 5-star rating and a nice review in iTunes, or if you have any Amazon shopping to do, yourrealityrecaps.com/Amazon to start your Amazon shopping. You can click the ad in the sidebar, or any of the ads around our website is always a help as well. And of course, if you like late night gaming or for tonight. Check out our Twitch. Become a fan over there. YourRealityRecaps.com/Twitch. We are always doing after midnight twitching as well. But let's go back to Kyra. I mean, I want to give you full screen to say whatever it is that you want to say to all of your fans. And then I have a special surprise for you. So go ahead, Kyra. The floor is yours.
Hello, fans. I just want to say thank you for all of the love and support. I know we all love an underdog story. I would have loved to pull it out for you guys, but honestly, how far I came makes me so proud because I did exactly what I came in that house to do, and that was to use my voice and spread awareness and talk about things that people don't usually talk about. And I think that I've proven that being emotional does not make you weak. Being, whatever different does not make you weak. Like, you can be strong and a fighter regardless of what anyone says. And you might be 5'4" and the person next to you might be 6'4", but hell yeah, you can still stand your ground. And honestly, I just love all of you, and I am so beyond humbled and grateful that my voice has even remotely helped you in your life. And I hope that you guys can all reach out and tell me your stories and how I've helped you. And I want to do as many meet and greets as I can this summer and support Pride and all of you guys. So if you want to send me a message, you can go to my Instagram, which is Kyra_Shenks. And on my bio is my email if you guys want me to come down to your city and either host events or do meet and greets. Get in contact with me because all I want to do this summer is support any LGBT organization and talk more about mental health and just meet as many of you guys as I can because this is just the beginning.
Well,
just the beginning.
I love that, and I will say I'm going to have all the links to all of your socials below this. So now I know that I put your Twitter above you, but do you mainly only use Instagram?
So, I'm like, my Twitter, my sister's killing my Twitter and has been all season. Like, beast right there. Let's just commend Amy for like how well of a job she did because I got a lot of hate this season and she handled it like a queen. So my Twitter is currently being run by my sister. I will be taking it over very soon. Okay. I use my Instagram more at the moment just because phones are still like alien to me. Right. But I will be going back on my Twitter, and my Instagram is Kyra_Shenks, which is SHENKS.
And like I said, I will put that below the video on the edited show. Now, Kyra.
Yeah.
There's one thing that we did not address during this show, and I should have probably done it earlier because it is very serious, and I don't know why we saved it for the end to talk about such seriousness, but I'm going to address it now, and I hope that you will forgive me. What is going on with these dance moves? You were dancing all over that house, Kyra.
Yeah. A lot of things are going
loved it.
A lot of things are going on with those dance moves. I dance for myself. I let myself feel the music in my head. And honestly, I was growing up, I was like, I can't dance. I don't want to dance. And then I realized, like, F it. You dance for you, not for anyone else. Exactly. So my dance moves make me feel happy, and that's what they're about.
And I think all live feeders think our favorite part is when you guys like dance in the house, because then we can like do clips and like put our music under it. So we all loved it. And we all love you, Kyra. We loved your message. We cannot wait to see what more is going to be coming from you next.
Thank you so much. I love you too, Eric.
I want to say thank you to everybody right now in You Now watching live. Congratulations, Becca. You were the #1 fan. Patrons, we will see you guys over there in 2 minutes. I will be back here tomorrow night with Kyra. And then Monday night is our Drag Race show, so obviously we don't have anyone that night. But Tuesday is Adam, and then of course Wednesday will be Sam. So those are your next 3 people coming up. And of course, tomorrow night is 6 p.m. with Kiki. Not this Kyra again, because I feel like that was very confusing on Big Brother's part. Anyway, goodbye, patrons. We will see you guys in a few. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Bye.